Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for being here. Today I want to talk about the first in our series of family values, and that is sexual values. We had seen that values are beliefs and ethics that guide and control human behavior. So, in looking at sexual values, we want to look at the beliefs and ethics that control human sexual behavior. And it is hard to find people talking about sexual behavior or sexual values. They're just things like any other values, but mostly sexual values, they're just things we pick up or we come up with because sex is seen as a taboo. No one wants to talk about it. It is hushed, yet it's at the core of our existence. And so today I want to ask you, do you have sexual values? What are these sexual values? They are basically bedroom manners, how you treat others, and how you want to be treated in bed or in the bedroom. For adults, before you go to communicate your family values to the children, you have to establish your values. You have to establish your sexual values, and you have to harmonize them with those of your partner. But you start with yourself. There are many issues that arise when we talk about sex. Some people are triggered, some people are indifferent, but you need to take account of your sexual life. We would call it sexual biography. And there are things that happened to you sexually that you didn't like. There are those that you took part in that you did not like. In this assessment, don't judge yourself. Accept yourself. Accept your faults. And those that were not your faults, don't blame yourself for them. Let them go. Only then will you be able to talk to your children about sexual issues freely. And this also includes reproductive health and rights surrounding sexual and reproductive health rights. Sexual issues are an uphill task, especially for girls and women. The society has put them in a place where, as women, we are supposed to get instructions from all and sundry. So for you, what is your stand on pleasure? What is your stand on foreplay? What is your stand on touch? Are you in touch with yourself for these issues? Because one, sex was sold to us as something that is ill, something that is bad, something we should not speak about, something we should not enjoy. And it has been sold as a thing we do for procreation. But God created sex and gave it to us to enjoy at the right time with the right person. For children and adolescents, you begin when they're still young. When they start touching their private parts, you tell them that should not be touched by anyone. You let them know about inappropriate touch. You let them know about kissing. You'll be surprised that most children by 5, they have kissed someone or they have been kissed by someone. And some of them liked it, some of them did not like it. For children, you talk about their safety and their feelings. Because they are growing to be adults, they have these feelings. Right from when they are children. They are people who they are attracted to. For girls, they'll be attracted to people who look like their daddies. Boys would be attracted to people who look like their mummies or who are close to them, or sometimes who look like their daddies. So the attraction to the opposite gender starts early. And so we should not neglect it that they are not yet ready, because the growth is progressive. You cannot wait and say, now I don't want them to do that at this point. They are not doing it. It is in their nature. You know, as adults, sometimes we think we are the only ones who see handsome and pretty people. Children do too. And they have a type. Right from kindergarten. And for you as a parent, when they come and tell you that I have a boyfriend, sometimes it's just someone they like and they call their boyfriend. I remember my now 12-year-old when she was in kindergarten. There was a point she used to have up to 6 boyfriends. She used to tell me about them, but she started dropping them one by one. One stopped being her. She stopped because he was mean to her friend. Another one, right there, you see boundaries. He was mean to her friend. Another one was too happy to see her. He dropped him. Another one, until she didn't have a boyfriend. Her follower, the same. So for you as a parent, it is not time to reprimand. It is time to listen and gauge where they are. It is time to engage them and listen to what they do with these boyfriends. Like I said, sometimes it is just because she likes someone, so she decides to call them boyfriend. The same goes for boys. Sometimes they just like someone and they say, that is my girlfriend. And there are girls who are aggressive, there are boys who are more aggressive. They'll go for who they like and tell them, I like you. Guide them through it. Because they are both children. They do not know. And also for children, we have taught them about inappropriate touch. That they know. There are even songs about body parts that should not be touched. What they really need to know is what I call unnecessary touch. Because unnecessary touch, it is what grooms them for inappropriate touch. Unnecessary touch are those touches that somebody unnecessarily touches you. Yeah, playing around with your body. It is not inappropriate, but it is unnecessary. Why are they touching you? Why are they fiddling with your hands? Why are they touching your hair? Those are the kind of things you need to tell your children. Because the abusers are not people who are unknown to them. They are people who they know very well. And by the time they get abused, there is the unnecessary touch, there's the unnecessary kindness, there's the unnecessary things that they do to groom them. So that when the inappropriate happens, they are ashamed and they have been groomed into this, into it, and they don't want to say it. And sometimes that is why it is good to talk about pleasure too. Sometimes children who are abused enjoy it. And it is not because they wanted it. It's because it was created for pleasure. But it is still abuse. The fact that they enjoyed it does not mean that it was not abuse. It doesn't mean that it was inappropriate. They are children. The abuser should have known better. And so these are things you need to discuss with them. How do they keep themselves safe? Where do they draw the boundary when it comes to touch? For the teenagers and adolescents who now have boyfriends and girlfriends, you might be denying it, but there are boys they like, there are girls they like. Guide them through it, because when you say they are still in primary, they are still in high school, I don't want them to start having girlfriends and boyfriends until they are maybe 20. Like I said, this thing is progressive. We fear the hard work. And once the child tells us they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, we think of the end result. Think like the child. This is just someone they like. Tell them how to conduct themselves around this person, so that they don't sell themselves short. Because remember, at 25, you'll be telling them, bring someone. How are they going to bring someone if they've not started now? How are they going to bring someone to you if when they tell you they like a girl, you beat them up? Or a girl likes them, you beat them up. There have been cases where children have been beaten to a pulp by their parents because a girl wrote a letter or a boy wrote a letter. And it is worse for girls because parents fear that when there is a pregnancy, the consequences are higher for the girl than the boy. So you are strict on your girls more than on the boys. Find out. Sometimes it is just a letter that your child was given to pass to another child. I like a boy and I don't have the courage to speak to him, but I like his friend, so I will use his friend. And that is what most of them do. And as a parent, you come and find this letter with me. You beat me to a pulp. You don't even ask. If such an incident happens, how do you expect this child to come to you and tell you about abuse? And tell you about a girl that likes them, a boy that likes them? We need to open communication channels, and opening communication channels start early. Don't be stuck up in your experience and project them on your children. We are here to raise a resilient generation. We are here to guide them. It is our duty. Once they come into the world, they look to us to guide them. Another thing that also we need to look at are those who are campus bound. They are at an age where they are going to experiment. Freedom has come for them. There's sex, there's alcohol, there's school. And if you are a strict parent, this is the time where your child is going to be dancing because they can be their own person without your control. And this is the time where you know if you have been making friendships with your children or not. When they close, do they want to come home, or they give you excuses? Oh, I'm working on this semester break. Sometimes they're just cohabiting, or they are busy being surrogates. So talk to them. You cannot send a child to campus and not talk to them about contraceptive. You cannot send a child to campus and not talk to them about sex and not talk to them about drinking. Some of you have not tested alcohol. Find out safe ways to drink. Tell them you're not supposed to have sex, but if you decide you want to, use a condom. There are contraceptives. Tell them their options. Remember, an informed child makes informed decisions. They are at an age where their hormones are haywire, and they have been locked in your house. Sometimes you don't even leave them to go to the salon by themselves. You are always there. If you can, let them do these things in your house. Let them do their nails. Let them do their hair. Let them do their makeup. Let them experience these things and make mistakes where they're still in your house. On the issue of alcohol, it might not be done in your house. But if you're drinking, chances are your child has tasted the alcohol. If you're not drinking, find a way. Look for a friend who is. Read, research. Let your child know that if they go out to drink, they're not supposed to drink. But if they cannot control their impulses, if their curiosity takes the better of them, this is what they do. When you go out drinking, don't leave your drink unattended. Once your drink is unattended, when you come back, don't take it. It doesn't matter who you are with, whether it is your bosom buddy. Teach them not to trust people out there. Adults are the worst. Teach them not to lower their guard, especially when they go to drink. Because in their circle of friends, there could be people who are jealous of them. They lower their guard and they're messed up. Teach them these things. It doesn't mean they are going to do it. They're just knowledgeable. And when they know, they will do better. And this is the point also, to let them know of their vulnerabilities. Let them know that somewhere down the line there was someone who was a drunkard. Let them know that somewhere down the line there was someone who was promiscuous. If it was you, if it was their dad, if it was their grandfather or grandmother or great-great-grandmother, let them know. So that awareness helps them in controlling themselves. You can only control something when you are aware. Because then you'll be watching out for the triggers. You'll be watching out for the trigger warnings, and you will act. If you got pregnant in campus, let them know, my child, I got pregnant in campus. That will be their main focus. Or I became a dad in campus. That will be their main focus. And you tell them, don't be like me, because it was a struggle. And once they get there, that will be their main focus. They'll say, my mom and my dad got me in their second year of campus. I am not getting a baby. They will be very conscious. But when we bury our heads in the sand, we become accomplices to the decay. We become enablers of whatever happens to them in ignorance. Something that we would have told them, they would have been alerted, they would have been aware, they would have made better decisions. But it starts with you. Are you feeling ashamed of your past? Especially for your older children, those who are campus bound. Open the communication channels. Talk to them. And if you still have younger ones, start now, so that by the time they get there, it's easier. And if you are trying to open the communication channels and you are once a harsh person, don't expect it to happen overnight. Children are not foolish. They'll be suspicious. They'll be wondering, why has this man suddenly become a good person? Why has this woman suddenly become good? They want to know the motive behind your behavior. So if you are beginning to do this, it will take time, but make the effort. There are children who are really hurting because they like someone and they cannot talk to them, and they're desperate, and you as a parent won't let them, and you know it. Guide them through it. Most of the time it will end in a semester or less, in a term or less. She'll be done with that one, moving on to the next thing. But they shall have experienced their first heartbreak, their first disappointment in love and romance. And with your guidance, they will know how to deal with it the next time. Remember, we are preparing them for life. And there's bound to be mistakes. We have made mistakes ourselves. Some that we are really, really ashamed of. Internalize that. Forgive yourself. Start learning and guide your child. Let them know that you are their source of honest, credible, reliable information. So then, as a family, you set rules around that. That there is no unnecessary touch. You don't touch anyone without their permission. And for parents, it will help you, especially women, when you feel overstimulated and come back home and everyone is running to you. They want to touch you, they're all over. You had a long day, you had a tough day, and you just want to be alone. But when you put the boundary of not touching someone without their permission, they'll not be all over you without reason. It will also help you. These rules are not just for the children, but they also help you. There'll be a time they'll tell you, Mommy, don't touch me without my permission. Why are you touching me without my permission? Why are you touching my hair? I really used to play with their hair because they have long, soft hair. But after realizing that it was a way of conditioning them for abuse, I stopped. The only time I tuck their hair is when I am either doing it or undoing it. That's it. And they now know. Even their friends, they don't allow them to tuck their hair. Those are some of the unnecessary touches that you need to let them know about. And especially that child that you think is stubborn. That child of yours that takes a lot of your effort to bring up. That is the one abusers prey on. Because you as a parent, you already don't trust them. You already think the worst of them. And the abuser preys on that. Those who are going to boarding school, those who are in boarding school, there's lesbianism, there's gayism. Talk to your children about sexual orientation, what is accepted in your house and what is not accepted. Start early if you don't want it. So that when they are 15, they know this is something that is not accepted in my house. They learn to live by the boundaries. Talk about pleasure. Talk about sex. Talk about contraception. Of course, depending on their age. So if you have children of different ages, you talk to everyone differently. So that you don't confuse the younger ones. And by giving them stuff that is not age appropriate. Talk to them. Children are willing to listen. They are ready to listen. They have questions. They want to hear what you have to say. And sometimes by the time they come to you with a question, they have had it somewhere. So for you as a parent, it is not time to go on a fact-finding mission. Where did you hear that? Who told you that? Tell me. You've started doing this. No. Listen. And don't judge. Just answer the question. If you are not ready for it, if you don't know how to tackle that, tell them, I'm going to find out, then I'll come back to you. And when we talk enough about sexual and reproductive health matters and rights, and demystify this taboo, sexual violence, harassment, and abuse will end. Because the abuser thrives on our shame. The abuser thrives on our ignorance. Because sometimes something happens you don't even know. The child does not even know the name to place on it. They don't even know what to call it. They just know it is disgusting, it is shameful. And they don't talk about it until sometimes it's too late. So let's demystify this. My dear parents, let's demystify this and raise a resilient generation. So that our children will not have to suffer or be ignorant or be victims. We want them to be able to be people who can stand up for themselves, especially girls when it comes to their bodies. We need them to be able to stand up for themselves. We need to give them a voice. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.